The slap of Bode Ogunlai Ilo's folder against the podium cracked through Akenzua Hall like a gunshot. "Look at her," he shouted, pointing at Bisi Akande as her bank statement trembled between her fingers. "A hungry little thief, pretending to be a saint. She stole food meant for poor students, handed it to a roadside beggar, then created one useless story so this foundation would pity her." More than 1,000 faces turned towards Bisi. On the giant screen behind her, a video showed her carrying a tray of rice, beans and plantain away from the university food court. The part where she paid for it had been removed. Blessing Nwosu folded her arms and laughed into the microphone. "Bisi, poverty has made you shameless. You cannot even feed yourself. Yet you are manufacturing kindness for attention. Please know your level." A security officer seized Bisi Elo's elbow. "Move, please," Bisi whispered, fighting to keep her voice steady. "That video was edited. I paid for that meal." Bode tore the statement from her hand and allowed the pages to fall at her feet. "Then let your imaginary beggar come and defend you." The hall erupted in mocking laughter. Then the double doors flew open. 3 men in dark suits entered first. Behind them came the same beggar Bisi had fed beneath the rain 24 hours earlier. Except now he wore a navy blue suit, and the university chairman was rushing towards him with both hands extended.
"Chief, Chuka sir. We were not expecting."
The billionaire walked past him. He stopped before Bisi, picked up her scattered papers, then turned to Bode. "The young woman you are calling a thief," he said quietly, "is the only person in this hall who did not steal from me. Do not miss what happened when the complete evidence appeared on that screen. Before we continue, tell us your city or country and your local time in the comments, and subscribe, because this story is about to expose what money could not hide." 24 hours earlier, Bisi Akande woke at exactly 5:17 in the morning because the ceiling fan had stopped turning. The room was dark, hot and silent. One blade of the fan hung above her like a tired arm. Somewhere outside Block C, a generator coughed twice, refused to start, then left the whole hostel to the mercy of the damp July heat. Bisi did not complain. She had trained herself to wake before discomfort could fully enter her body. She sat up on the lower bunk, pressed both feet to the cold terrazzo floor, and waited for the dizziness to pass. It did not. A thin grey mist covered the edges of her vision, and for a few seconds, the metal wardrobe opposite her seemed to lean towards the bed. "Bisi?" Joy Egbe Alo's voice came from the upper bunk. "I am fine," Bisi said quickly. Joy pushed aside the mosquito net and looked down. Her scarf had slipped over one eye, but even half awake, she knew a lie when she heard one. "Nah, you are fine every morning. Yet your fine is becoming thinner than your neck." "I said I am fine. You ate yesterday?" "Yes." "What?" Bisi bent to arrange the straps of her worn sandals. "Food." Joy stared at her. "Madam Nutritionist, food has a name." Bisi smiled despite herself. "Gari." "At what time?" "Night." "With what?" "Water." Joy climbed down from the bunk and landed with a soft thud. She was 22, sharp-eyed, restless and always moving as if life was a newsroom that might close before she got the full story. "You took plain Gari again?" "I added sugar. You finished the sugar last week." Silence entered the room. Bisi reached for the plastic bucket under the bed. There was less than 1 cup of water inside. She lifted it carefully, as though carrying more would make the bucket feel less empty. Joy folded her arms. "How much is in your account?" "How much?" "Joy, I beg." "How much?" Bisi picked up her phone and opened the banking app. The balance glowed against the cracked screen. 2,740. 18. Joy saw it, her face changed. "Bisi, my salary will enter on Friday. Today is Tuesday. I know the days of the week. And your hostel levy?" 4 days. The bursary, still pending. Joy squeezed her face until deep lines formed between her eyebrows. For 7 weeks? Bisi locked the phone. They said they are reviewing it. Reviewing what? Your hunger? Bisi stood and pulled on her faded green polo shirt. The logo of Ovia Heights University had begun to peel near the collar. She had washed the shirt so many times that the cotton felt like old paper. I will go to student welfare after my lecture. You said that yesterday. And I went. What did they tell you? Come back. Joy opened her mouth, but Bisi raised one finger. No, do not offer me money. I was not offering money. You were about to. I was about to say we should eat together. That one is money, wearing another dress. Joy shook her head. Pride will not cook soup for you. It is not pride. What is it? Bisi looked at the small desk beside the window. On it sat a cheap laptop, 2 exercise books, a kitchen thermometer, a stack of receipts, and a hand-drawn flowchart titled Second Plate Ledger. It is mathematics, she said. You have your project printing. I have mine. If I start entering your own pocket, both of us will sink. Joy Allow's face softened, but Bisi's had already picked up the bucket. I am going to fetch water before the queue reaches the staircase. She left before Joy could argue again. The corridor was alive with slippers dragging, buckets scraping, and voices complaining about the power outage. Rain had fallen through most of the night, and the air smelled of wet soil, detergent and the fried akara being sold beyond the hostel fence. The smell followed Bisi down 3 flights of stairs. Her stomach tightened. She ignored it. At 6:06, after bathing with half a bucket and ironing her shirt beneath a textbook, because there was no electricity, Bisi sat at the desk to review her proposal. Second Plate Ledger was not beautiful. It had no bright animation, no celebrity ambassador, and no expensive launch plan. It was a practical system built from what Bisi had seen during 2 years of working evening shifts at Unity Food Court. Every week, trays of untouched food from seminars, alumni dinners, staff workshops, and private events were thrown away because nobody had recorded when they were prepared, how long they had remained outside refrigeration, or where they could be safely redirected. At the same time, students skipped meals in silence. Bisi had counted both sides of the waste. During a 14-day observation period, she recorded 387 untouched portions of rice, stew, moi moi, and grilled chicken leaving event halls. Only 92 portions could be safely recovered, because the rest had no reliable time labels. Meanwhile, 31 students who answered her anonymous survey admitted missing at least 4 meals in 1 week. The university had food. It had no trustworthy bridge. Her proposal created that bridge through batch labels, temperature records, coded vouchers, 2-person verification, and a rule that no beneficiary could be filmed without clear consent. At the bottom of page 17, she had written 1 sentence and underlined it twice. Hunger relief must not turn a person Allow's shame into another person Allow's publicity. Joy stood behind her and read it over her shoulder. That line will make blessing faint. Bisi did not look up. It is not about blessing. Everything in social impact society is about blessing. Even poverty is about blessing if a camera is nearby. Leave her. I will leave her when she leaves people Allow's faces out of her content. Blessing No Su was the 24-year-old president of the society and the daughter of Bode Ogunlai, owner of Ogunlai Campus Services, the company supplying meals to the university. Her social pages were full of carefully arranged charity visits, branded T-shirts, and crying beneficiaries whose full names appeared in captions. Her own proposal for the Easy Foundation grant was called Feed Forward Connect. It promised a mobile app, facial recognition, and influencer partnerships. It also required 12 7 million. Bisi Akande's entire pilot budget was 84 million. Joy tapped the laptop screen. You still did not add the part about ghost meals. I cannot accuse anybody without complete evidence. You have 27 students saying their IDs were used. Anonymous responses are not proof of who used them. They are smoke, and smoke can come from burnt food, faulty wire, or somebody else's cigarette. I need the fire before I point at a person. Joy raised both hands. See this one speaking like court judge. Bisi closed the laptop. I have nutrition policy at 8. I need to pass welfare office first. They left the hostel at 6:43. The campus was spread across red earth and trimmed lawns, with glass-fronted lecture buildings standing beside unfinished concrete blocks. Rainwater gathered in potholes on the road. Students jumped over them in polished shoes, while shuttle buses splashed brown water onto anybody who misjudged the distance. At the student welfare office, 12 people were already waiting. Bisi signed her name on a sheet and stood for 43 minutes before a clerk called her forward. On name? Bisi Akande. Matric number? She gave it. The clerk typed slowly, chewing gum with the concentration of somebody solving a national problem. Then she frowned. Your bursary is on hold. I know, Ma. I came to ask why. Duplicate benefit claim. What benefit? Meal support. I have never collected meal support. The clerk turned the screen slightly away. The system says you collected 27 times. Bisi Akande's fingers tightened around the edge of the counter. 27? Yes. From where? Open Plate Fund. That is not possible. My sister, I did not build the system. Can I see the dates? No. Can I submit a dispute? You already submitted one. I submitted it 7 weeks ago. Then wait. For how long? The clerk shrugged. Until they finish reviewing it. Bisi swallowed. Ma, my accommodation levy is due. This bursary is not a favor. I qualified for it. The woman stopped chewing. Are you teaching me my work? No, Ma. Then do not raise your voice. I did not raise my voice. Next person. Bisi remained there for 1 second too long. The clerk looked past her. Next person, please. Bisi stepped away. Outside the office, she leaned against a pillar and opened the email on her phone. The message still read, Your case remains under administrative review. No further action is required at this time. No further action. The people who wrote such sentences had probably eaten breakfast. At 7:51, she entered her lecture hall with 9 minutes to spare. She took a seat near the wall and placed her notebook on the desk. The lecturer began discussing micronutrient deficiencies, food access, and hidden hunger. Hidden hunger. Bisi almost laughed. By 10:26, her headache had become a steady pulse behind her right eye. She drank water. At noon, she attended a group meeting. At 1:40, she went to the library and printed the final 3 pages of her proposal, paying 90 from her account. At 2:15, her balance was 2,650. 8. At 3, she reported for her shift at Unity Food Court. The food court stood near the center of campus, a long cream building with a red roof and a covered seating area facing the main road. 4 private vendors operated from one side, while Ogunlai Campus Services controlled the central kitchen, staff canteen, and open plate counter. Bisi tied an apron around her waist, entered through the back door. Heat struck her first. Steam rose from industrial pots. Metal ladles hit aluminium trays. A radio near the freezer played an old high-life song beneath the noise of exhaust fans. The afternoon supervisor pointed to a stack of onions. Bisi, slice these before 4. Yes, Ma. And do not touch the open plate inventory. Mr. Ogunlai is coming. Why? The woman lowered her voice. Foundation inspection tomorrow. Bisi paused. The Ease Foundation? Who else funds open plate? I thought they only sent auditors, they said. Chief Ease may attend the grant presentation himself. The kitchen changed when rich people were expected. Workers scrubbed walls that had carried grease for months. New aprons appeared from locked cupboards. Cracked serving bowls vanished. A printed sign saying every student deserves. A meal was taped above the counter where students had been turned away the previous week. By 3:38, Blessing arrived with 2 ring lights, a wireless microphone, and a young man carrying branded donation boxes. She wore cream trousers, spotless white trainers, and a fitted green shirt with feeding dignity printed across the chest. "Please move that bucket," she said, barely greeting anybody. "It is entering my frame." The supervisor hurried to obey. Blessing looked around, squeezing her face. "Why is the place smelling like onions?" Bisi glanced at the mountain of onions in front of her. "Because this is a kitchen," she murmured. "What did you say?" Blessing asked. "Nothing." Blessing walked closer and looked at Bisi Aloe's apron. "This thing is stained. It is tomato paste. Go and change it. We are filming generosity, not suffering. There is no extra apron. Then stand behind." Bisi returned to the onions. At 4:07, Bode Aganlai entered through the main door, with the confidence of a man who believed every room had been built to receive him. He was broad-shouldered, clean-shaven and dressed in a charcoal senator outfit. 2 phones sat in his hands. A thick gold watch flashed whenever he moved. "Hope no problem?" he called. "No problem, sir," you workers answered. Bode inspected the counter, tasted the stew, and complained that the plantain slices were too small for the camera. "Add 3 pieces to every tray while they are filming," he ordered. "What about after filming?" the supervisor asked. Bode looked at her. "Did I say after filming?" "No, sir." "Then use your head." Blessing laughed. Bisi lowered her eyes, but she noticed something. The open plate register on the counter showed 146 meals distributed that day. She had been in the kitchen since 3. Fewer than 20 trays had left through that counter. She did not accuse anyone. She memorized the number. At 4:32, while Blessing recorded a video about compassion, a man approached the entrance from the road. He moved slowly, one hand pressed to his side. His brown kaftan was faded at the shoulders, and rainwater had darkened the hem. A grey beard covered his jaw. His slippers were worn so thin that one heel touched the ground. It was Chuka Eze. Nobody there knew it. Earlier that afternoon, less than 2 kilometers away, Chuka had stepped out of a black SUV in the service compound of a small hotel. His compliance director had objected to the plan twice. His security officer had objected 6 times. "Sir, we already have complaints." "Ah," the compliance director said. "We can conduct interviews. People prepare for interviews." Chuka replied. "You can send an undercover staff member. They know the faces of our field officers. Ni, you are recognizable. Only to people who look at poor men long enough to see their faces." The sentence ended the argument. Chuka was 56. He had built Ez Agro Logistics from 1 leased warehouse and 3 delivery trucks into a national cold chain company. Newspapers called him a billionaire. His staff called him demanding. His competitors called him dangerous because he read invoices line by line. He had not come to Ovia Heights University to find a kind student. He had come because 19 written complaints did not match the monthly reports submitted by Ogunlai Campus Services. According to those reports, Open Plate Fund had provided 862 meals in 12 weeks. According to the complaints, students were being refused. Something was wrong. So Chuka walked towards the food court, while his driver and security officer remained within sight, dressed as ordinary maintenance contractors. His compliance director monitored from a parked vehicle and recorded only what was legally visible from public areas. At the entrance, Chuka stopped beneath the awning. A security guard blocked him. "Where are you going?" "I heard there is food support here," Chuka said. "For students." "I was told emergency meals are sometimes available." "Who told you?" "A man near the gate." The guard looked at his clothes and turned his face away. "No food." Chuka looked through the open doors. Stainless steel trays of rice and beans stood beneath heat lamps. "There seems to be food." The guard stepped closer. "Old man, do not use your hunger to disturb this place. Move." Blessing heard the exchange and turned towards the entrance. Her cameraman kept recording. "Who allowed him inside the compound?" she asked. "No one, Ma," the guard said. Blessing waved one hand before her nose. "Please take him away. We are shooting a campaign about student dignity. His appearance is spoiling the background." Chuka looked at the words on her shirt. "Feeding dignity." "What is this campaign?" he asked. Blessing stared at him as if a sack of rubbish had spoken. "It is not for people like you. People like me. People who think every clean building is a begging center. This is a university, Baba, not a roadside soup pot." Some students laughed. Bisi heard them from the kitchen. She placed the knife down. Bode approached with irritation already prepared on his face. "What is happening?" "This man is refusing to leave," Blessing said. Chuka turned to him. "Sir, is there an emergency meal program here?" Bode adjusted his cuff. "There is a controlled support program for verified beneficiaries." "How does a person become verified?" "You apply." "Can I apply?" Bode Illo's eyes traveled from Chuka Illo's beard to his slippers. "Do you have student identification?" "No." "Then why are you here?" "I was told unused food may be shared." Bode laughed once. "Unused food? So because you smell rice, you have carried your poverty into private property?" "My friend, hunger does not give you ownership. Know your boundary." The guard reached for Chuka Ilo's arm. Bisi came through the service door. "Please, do not drag him." Every face turned. Bode frowned. "Did anybody call you?" "No, sir." "Then return to your onions." Bisi looked at Chuka. Up close, she noticed that his hands were shaking. It could have been weakness. It could also have been illness. "Sir," she said gently, "are you feeling faint?" "I am only hungry." "Do you have diabetes?" Chuka paused, surprised by the question. "No." "Any food allergy?" "News pain?" "No." Blessing hissed. "Bisi, stop performing nurse," he said. "Hunger, not childbirth." Bisi ignored her. "There is a clinic post near the library," she told Chuka. "Let them check your blood pressure first. I can walk." The guard released his arm. Bode pointed towards the road, "Then walk out." Chuka obeyed. He crossed to the covered bench beneath a jacaranda tree and sat down as rain began tapping against the roof. Bisi returned to the kitchen. Her shift ended at 6:05. The rain had grown heavier. Water rushed along the gutters, carrying leaves and sachet wrappers towards the road. Most students remained under the food court roof, waiting for the downpour to weaken. Bisi untied her apron and checked her account again. 2,650. 18. Her salary was expected Friday. She had plain Gary in the room. If she bought one proper meal now, she could manage. She joined the queue at a private vendor because staff were not allowed to buy from the open plate counter. "One rice, beans, and plantain?" "Ah," she said. 1,350, the cashier replied. Bisi hesitated. Then she transferred the money. The cashier IO's terminal beeped. A receipt printed with the time 6:14:37 p.m. Bisi folded it and placed it beside the tray. The smell of stew rose into her face. Her knees felt weak. She carried the food towards a corner table and saw Chuka still sitting beneath the tree across the road. Rain blew sideways under the roof. His shoulders were wet. He was watching people eat through the glass wall. Bisi stopped. Her body gave one answer. Her conscience gave another. She stood there long enough for the steam to thin. Then she crossed the road. "Sir." Chuka looked up. "You are still here?" she asked. "I was waiting for the rain." Bisi placed the tray on the bench between them. "Have you taken any medication today?" "No. Please eat slowly. You said you do not have allergies." He looked at the tray, then at her. "This is your food. We can share. You look hungry too." "I am managing." He pushed the tray slightly towards her. "Take half." Bisi separated the rice with the spoon, but when she saw how his hand trembled reaching for it, she stopped. "Eat first, my daughter, please." The word came out sharper than she intended. Chuka studied her face. "You paid for this?" "Yes, with your last money?" Bisi gave a small, tired laugh. "You ask too many questions for somebody who has not started eating." He picked up the spoon. Before the first bite reached his mouth, Blessing Alo's voice sounded behind them. "Ah, ah. So this is what you are doing?" Bisi turned. Blessing stood beneath a large umbrella held by her cameraman. Bode was beside her. The security guard followed. And several students had begun gathering under the awning. Blessing lifted her phone. "Continue," she said. "Let everybody see the performance." Bisi rose. "What performance?" "You removed a tray from the food court and carried it to this man." "I bought it." "From where?" "The vendor." Bode stepped forward and looked at the food. "This tray belongs to the central kitchen." "It does not." "Are you calling me a liar?" "I said I paid for it." "Show the receipt." Bisi pointed to the bench. The receipt lay beside the plastic cup. Bode reached for it before she could. His eyes moved across the printout. For a fraction of a second, his expression tightened. Then he folded the receipt into his palm. "This is not for this tray." Bisi stared at him. "What?" "You bought something else and stole this from Open Plate." "That is a lie," the students murmured. Bode Alo's face hardened. "You kitchen rat! I gave you small work so you could survive. And now you are carrying food through the back door like suffering has removed shame from your body." Bisi Alo's mouth fell open. Blessing laughed into her phone. "Bisi, poverty has made you very ambitious. Today you are feeding one beggar for camera. Tomorrow you will tell Chief Ease that you saved the whole of Edo State. There was no camera until you came. Do not be stupid. You knew our team was filming." Chuka placed the spoon down. "The young woman brought this meal after your filming ended," he said. Blessing swung the phone towards him. "Baba, eat and keep quiet. Nobody invited you into university politics." Chukala's eyes became still. Bode pointed at Bisi. "A return your staff card." "Sir, you are suspended for buying food, for theft, insubordination, and bringing an unauthorized person into a controlled area. I met him outside. Do you think grammar will wash your dirty hands?" Bisi Alo's chest rose and fell. The rain drummed harder on the roof. A plastic cup tipped in the wind, rolled along the bench, and dropped into the gutter. Nobody moved. Chuka looked at Bisi. "My daughter, keep half of the food." Bisi shook her head. "Eat, sir. You need it." "So do you," Bode scoffed. "See both of them, sharing one tray as if poverty is a wedding cake." More laughter came from the crowd. Bisi turned towards him. Her eyes were bright, but her voice did not break. "Hunger does not remove a person Alo's name, sir. It only means the person needs food." The laughter stopped. Chuka looked at her for a long moment. Then he picked up the spoon and ate. Bisi walked away through the rain without an umbrella. By the time she reached Block C, her clothes were soaked to her skin. Joy opened the door and froze. "What happened?" Bisi placed her bag on the floor. "My job is gone." Joy came down from the bunk. "Why?" Bisi Alo's phone vibrated. One email. Then another. Then a third. She opened the first. "Order of temporary suspension from food court duties." The second came from the Social Nutrition Innovation Grant Committee. Your application has been placed under review, following an allegation of misconduct. The third came from Student Affairs. You are required to appear before a disciplinary review at Akenzua Hall by 9:00 a.m. tomorrow. Failure to attend may result in determination without your testimony. An attachment was included. Bisi opened it. It contained a list of 27 open plate transactions under her matric number. Each entry carried an electronic confirmation marked Bisi Akande. Her breath stopped. Joy took the phone. What is this? I do not know. You did not collect these? Never. Joy scrolled faster. Some of these dates you were at work. Bisi pointed to one entry. On this date, I was in Osogbo for the Food Safety Conference. Another vibration came, a WhatsApp message from an unknown number. It contained Blessing Aloe's edited video. Under it were 5 words. They're pretending to be kind. Joy looked up slowly. Outside the room, somebody laughed in the corridor. Then another voice said Bisi Aloe's name. The lie had already started walking. Within 30 minutes, the video entered 6 student WhatsApp groups. Within 1 hour, somebody added dramatic music beneath it. By 8:19 that night, the version most people were sharing no longer showed Blessing insulting the old man. It began with Bisi walking away from the food court, cut directly to Bode asking for a receipt, then ended with the words "Hungerstant steals, charity food for attention." A lie did not need strong legs on Ovia Heights campus. It only needed data. Joy locked the room door and placed Bisi Aloe's phone on the desk. First, we save everything. Bisi sat on the edge of the bed, still wearing her damp clothes. I cannot think. You do not have to think. Answer questions. Joy opened her laptop. What time did you pay? After 6. Which vendor? The one beside the central kitchen. Transfer or card? Transfer. Good. Open your banking app. Bisi stared at her. Joy. They have 27 signatures. Open your banking app. What if they have already decided? Then let them decide against evidence, not against silence. Bisi wiped rainwater from her forehead and unlocked the phone. The transaction showed clearly 135000. Time 6:14 p.m. Merchant description UHF vendor 3. Joy took screenshots, downloaded the statement, and emailed copies to 3 different accounts. Why 3? Bisi asked. Because phones get lost. Accounts get locked. People who alter one record may try to alter another. She opened the edited video. Send me the first copy you received. Bisi forwarded it. Joy checked the file details. This one was exported at 6:47 p.m. What does that mean? It means it was edited before Mr. Ogunlai officially reported you at 7:05. Bisi looked up. How do you know when he reported me? The suspension letter says the incident report was submitted at 7:05. So Blessing edited a video before they filed the complaint. Yes. That still does not prove I paid for the exact tray. Joy stopped typing. Bisi was right. A transaction proved that money left her account. It did not prove what she carried away. If Bodhi insisted she had bought one item and stolen another, the argument would continue. We need the receipt, Joy said. He took it. Did the vendor keep a copy? The terminal should have a transaction log and CCTV. There are cameras over the cashier and serving line. Joy nodded. Good. He let out a bitter laugh. You are saying good as if people do not delete things. Then we move before morning. The food court is closed. The private vendor may still be cleaning. Bisi stood, then sat again when the room tilted. Joy caught her shoulder. You have not eaten. I am not hungry. That is your body closing its complaint office because nobody is listening. Joy reached into her locker and brought out half a loaf of bread and a small tin of sardines. No. I said no. Joy tore the bread in 2 This is not charity. You will replace it on Friday. Joy, eat before I force it through your ear. Bisi took the bread. She chewed without tasting it. At the same time, in an air-conditioned office behind Unity Food Court, Bode Ogunlai was making sure the Lai wore clean clothes. The office had glass shelves, 2 leather chairs, and a framed photograph of Bode shaking hands with the university chairman. An invoice printer sat beside a cabinet marked Karkran Recurse. The cabinet was locked. Bode placed Bisi Akkande's receipt on the desk. Blessing stood opposite him, scrolling through comments on her phone. "People are angry," she said. "One girl said Bisi should be expelled." Bode did not smile. "Delete the post from your main page. Why? Because you are not a fool. It is already everywhere. That is why you delete your own copy. Let others carry it." Blessing looked annoyed. "Daddy, the video helps my grant campaign." "The grant is tomorrow. Tonight we control the records." He unfolded the receipt and studied it again. "You should have told me she paid," Blessing shrugged. "She still embarrassed us. That receipt can embarrass you more." "Then destroy it." Bode looked at his daughter. "No document disappears without leaving the shape of its absence. We do not destroy it. We make it irrelevant." He opened his laptop and logged into the central kitchen inventory portal. The dashboard showed 146 open-plate meals issued that day. Bode changed it to 147. Then he created a stock variance entry for 1 tray removed without authorization at 6:11 p.m. He selected Bisi Akkande's staff ID from a drop-down menu and attached a statement prepared before he had even returned to his office. Blessing watched him. "You have done this before." Bode Akkande's fingers stopped over the keyboard. "Mind the work that concerns you." She leaned against the desk. "What if the foundation auditors check? They check what we give them. Chief Easy is coming himself. Chief Easy owns trucks and warehouses. He does not know how one campus kitchen works. He built the fund, and I feed the students. Do you think one billionaire will count spoons?" Bode clicked submit. The new entry appeared in the system. He then called the afternoon supervisor. "Come to my office." She arrived 6 minutes later, still wearing her kitchen cap. Bode turned a printed statement towards her. "Sign." She read the first line and frowned. "Sir, this says I saw Bisi take a tray from open plate." "Yes, I did not see her." "You were on duty." "I was inside the kitchen, so you were responsible for the tray." The woman Akkande's eyes dropped. Bode leaned back. "How many weeks of salary are you waiting for?" 8 weeks, sir. Your mother Akkande's medicine is inside that salary, Abbai." She said nothing. "Sign and I release 4 weeks tomorrow, sir, or refuse, and explain to your landlord why I dismissed you for stock negligence." Blessing watched without discomfort. The supervisor held the pen. Her hand shook. Bode tapped the paper. "Do not waste my time." She signed. He took the page immediately. "Good woman." After she left, Blessing frowned. "Only 4 weeks." Bode closed the file. "If you give desperate people everything, they stop being desperate enough to obey you." At 8:54 p.m., he accessed the Open Plate beneficiary portal. Bisi Akande's matric number already appeared 27 times. Those entries had not been created that night. They belonged to a larger system. For 11 weeks, Bode Akkande's staff had copied matric numbers from old bursary lists and used them to confirm meals that were never served. Some IDs belonged to students on industrial training. Some belonged to graduates. Some belonged to students who had never heard of Open Plate. Each ghost meal was small. Together, they were money. Bisi Akkande's second plate ledger threatened everything because it demanded that inventory, beneficiary confirmation, and distribution time be matched across 3 separate offices. No single contractor would control all the records. Bode had first seen the proposal 3 weeks earlier, when Blessing brought home a leaked summary from the grant committee. He had read page 9 twice. Automatic duplicate alerts, independent stock reconciliation, anonymous beneficiary codes, monthly public reporting. The project was not only competing with his daughter Elo's app, it was a torch pointed at his storeroom. "Daddy," Blessing said, "will her proposal be removed?" By morning, nobody will discuss her proposal. He selected Bisi Akande's record and attached the new theft allegation. Then he marked her bursary dispute as high-risk, duped benefit claim. 1 click. Her money remained frozen. Across town, in a quiet conference room on the 3rd floor of the hotel, Chuka Eze removed the grey beard from his face and placed it on a white towel. The transformation was not magical. Without the beard and stained kaftan, he was still the same broad-faced man with watchful eyes. His suit hung in the next room. A tray of food sat untouched on the table. His compliance director connected a laptop to the screen. "Sir, we have the field notes." Chuka washed his hands slowly. "The woman who gave me food. What is her name?" "Bisi Akande. Final year food science and nutrition student. Part-time food court worker. One of the grant applicants. Any disciplinary history. Done, recorded before tonight." Tonight? The director opened an email. Argonlight Campus Services filed a theft complaint against her at 7:05 p.m. Chuka dried his hands. "For the meal she bought?" "That is their claim. They say it came from open plate inventory. I watched her cross from the private vendor. We need documentary proof." Chuka sat down. "Get it. We can request the vendor record in the morning. Not only that, secure the cloud backup for every camera around the food court. Preserve access logs. Send a legal retention notice to the university tonight." The director nodded and typed. Chuka looked at the monthly report projected on the wall. 4,862 meals distributed. Average cost per meal, 2,180. Beneficiary confirmation rate, 98.7%. Complaint resolution rate, 100%. He pointed at the last figure. 19 people complained to us directly. How can their resolution rate be 100%? They classified the complaints as general inquiries, not grievances. Who approved the classification? Argonlai Elo's administrator. Our contractor marking complaints against himself as resolved. Yes, sir. Chuka leaned back. Who designed this oversight? The foundation used the university, Arlo's existing welfare structure. That means we funded trust without building verification. The director hesitated. Sir, the fraud, if established, is theirs. The weak control is ours. The room became quiet. Chuka had spent years listening to wealthy men describe every failure as the fault of somebody beneath them. He refused to do the same. Do not prepare a speech that makes us heroes, he said. Prepare a report that shows where we were careless. Yes, sir, and no public reveal until the records are preserved. The security officer shifted near the door. What about Miss Akande? They have summoned her tomorrow. Chuka looked at the photograph attached to her grant file. Bisi wore the same faded green polo shirt. Her expression was serious, almost suspicious of the camera. We will not tell her who I am tonight. The director seemed surprised. Sir, if we contact her secretly, Argonlai can claim we coached her. Let her present her own evidence. We bring ours. And if the university removes her before then we arrive before the removal becomes final. He turned towards the untouched dinner. For the first time since leaving the food court, he remembered the way Bisi had watched him lift the spoon. She had been hungry enough for her hands to shake. Yet she had not described herself as generous. She had not asked his name. She had not filmed him. She had asked about allergies. That detail stayed with him. Find her proposal, he said. The director opened the grant folder. Second plate ledger appeared on the screen. Chuka read the executive summary in silence. At 9:27 p.m., Bisi and Joy reached Unity Food Court. The rain had reduced to a fine mist. The front doors were locked, but light still shone from the private vendor Aloe's side window. A cleaner moved chairs inside. Joy knocked. Nobody answered. She knocked again. The vendor cashier appeared behind the glass, recognized Bisi, and immediately shook her head. "We are closed." "Please, Ma," Bisi said. "I only need the transaction copy for the meal I bought at 6:14. The woman glanced towards the central kitchen. "Come tomorrow. My hearing is tomorrow morning. I cannot open." "You do not need to open. Please check the terminal." The cashier lowered her voice. "Mr. Ogunlai already came." Bisiello's stomach turned. What did he say? He said nobody should release records without management approval. "But you are a private vendor. The building contract is under him." Joy stepped closer to the glass. "Ma, did Bisi buy rice, beans, and plantain?" The cashier looked away. "I do not want trouble. We are not asking you to fight anybody," Bisi said. "Just tell the truth." The woman rubbed her forehead. "Yes, you paid. Can you say that tomorrow?" "No, why?" "My stall renewal is next month." There it was, not wickedness, fear. Bisi nodded slowly. "Thank you for telling me." Joy pulled her aside as they walked away. "Why did you let her go? What should I do? Drag her to the hall? She is a witness. She is also somebody whose livelihood is under Bode Elo's hand, and your degree is under his foot." Bisi stopped beneath a broken streetlight. "So I should save myself by pushing another woman into the same fire." "Not pushing, asking," she said no. Joy exhaled sharply. "This your moral backbone is becoming very expensive." Bisi looked towards the food court cameras. "Can the video be recovered without her?" "Maybe." They walked around the side of the building. 2 dome cameras covered the vendor entrance and serving line. Small red lights glowed beneath both. Joy pointed. They told students last month that those cameras were dead. Maybe only the recording is off. Or maybe they lie as a hobby. A maintenance sticker beneath one camera showed the service company and a support number. Joy photographed it. "Tomorrow morning, we request the footage from Student Affairs. What if they say it is unavailable? Then we put that refusal in writing." At 10:11 p.m., they returned to Block C. 3 girls in the corridor went silent when Bisi appeared. One turned her phone screen down. Another whispered something and laughed. Bisi entered the room without reacting. The moment the door closed, she sat on the floor. Joy crouched beside her. "You can cry. I am not crying. You are breathing like somebody carrying a wardrobe." Bisi pressed both palms against her eyes. "If they remove me from the grant, I can survive. If they remove my job, I will find another one. But if they put theft on my record..." Her voice broke. Joy said nothing. "My mother sold her sewing machine during my 2nd year," Bisi continued. She said, "Education was the one thing nobody could collect back. Now see, they want to write thief beside my name because I bought food." Joy sat on the floor with her. "They have not finished writing. They have the pen. We have hands." Bisi laughed once through her tears. "That sounds like something from a bad campaign poster. It is what I have at this hour." For several minutes, only the fanless heat and distant hostile noise remained. Then Joy opened the transaction list again. "Look at the dates." Bisi wiped her face. Joy read them aloud. April 8, 12:43 p.m. Where were you? Nutrition lab. Proof. Attendance sheet. April 17, 1:06 p.m. Food microbiology practical. May 2, 12:11 p.m. Working at the interfaculty conference. May 16. Dosogbo. They built a table. Date. Claimed mealtime. Actual location. Possible proof. By midnight, 11 transactions had strong contradictions. lecture attendance, work rosters, a conference badge, bus tickets, and photographs placed Bisi elsewhere. At 12:23 a.m., Joy noticed something else. All the confirmations use the same device code. Bisi leaned closer. What device? The printout includes terminal ID OCS Edmund 02. That is not the counter terminal. How do you know? The counter terminal ends in 07. I enter staff meals there. So all 27 were confirmed from an admin device. Inside, Bode Elo's office or central records. Joy Allo's eyes sharpened. Now we have smoke with direction. Bisi looked at the clock. 12:28. The disciplinary hearing was less than 9 hours away. At 7:10 the next morning, Dr. Esther Omaregi arrived at her office and found 2 files on her desk. One was from Bode Ogunlai. The other was a legal preservation notice from Ease Foundation, requesting that all digital records connected to Open Plate Fund, food court CCTV and beneficiary confirmations be retained without alteration. Dr. Esther read the second letter twice. She was 46, careful in speech, and even more careful in public. She had built her career by preventing student crises from becoming newspaper headlines. To her, procedure was not cowardice, it was a wall against chaos. That morning, the wall had cracks. Her secretary entered. "Mr. Ogunlai is waiting. Let him in." Bode arrived with blessing and a thick folder. "Doctor, this matter must be handled firmly," he said before sitting. "The foundation chairman is attending today. We cannot allow a thief to represent the university." Dr. Esther held up the preservation notice. "Did you receive this?" Bode glanced at it. "Yes, routine compliance. It specifically mentions the incident involving Bisi Akande. Because I reported it. Why is the foundation preserving CCTV before we requested it?" Bode spread his hands. "Perhaps they monitor high-risk events." Blessing crossed her legs. "Ma, the video is clear." Bisi removed food. "Your video does not show where the tray came from." "It came from the food court. That building contains 5 vendors." Bode pushed the signed staff statement across the desk. "My supervisor witnessed the theft." Dr. Esther read it. She says she saw Bisi remove 1 tray from open plate stock. "Exactly. And you have inventory variance?" Bode produced the printout. Dr. Esther looked at the timestamp. The variance had been entered at 8:41 p.m., more than 2 hours after the alleged theft. "Why was this not recorded immediately?" "Because we completed the stock count after closing." "Where is the cashier record from the private vendor?" "I do not control private vendors." "You control their access to the building." Bodalo's smile became thin. "Doctor, are we investigating a thief or interrogating the man who reported her? We are determining facts. The facts are already walking around WhatsApp." Dr. Esther looked at Blessing. "Who posted the video?" "I shared it in a private accountability group." "You added captions calling her a thief before any hearing." "I was protecting vulnerable beneficiaries by publicly naming an accused student." Blessing Arlo's confidence shifted. Bode leaned forward. "Let us not turn this into grammar. Suspend the girl from the grant and employment. We can review the degree matter later." Dr. Esther closed the folder. "I will not recommend expulsion without a hearing. Then hold the hearing before the presentation. In my conference room. The hall is already prepared. Students have seen the video. Addressing it openly will show transparency." Dr. Esther hesitated. That hesitation changed the shape of the morning. She imagined rumors spreading if the case was handled privately. She imagined Chief Ease arriving to find the university accused of hiding theft. She imagined newspaper headlines. 10 minutes, she said. Only the parties, relevant officers, and the grant committee. Blessing smiled. Bode stood. Wise decision. After they left, Dr. Esther remained seated. She read the preservation notice once more. At the bottom was one sentence. The Foundation has received material allegations of beneficiary data misuse, predating the incident of July 14. Predating. This was bigger than one tray. At 7:42 a.m., Bisi and Joy entered the empty library computer room. Joy had slept for less than 2 hours. Bisi had not slept at all. They printed the bank statement, transaction table, class attendance records, and conference evidence. The printer jammed twice. On the third attempt, it swallowed 180 without producing page 6. Joy hit the side of the machine. Even technology has joined them. Leave it before it reports assault. Bisi Akkande's joke was weak, but it was the first one she had made since the rain. At 8:03, Joy searched her email for an old food court orientation message. The message contained a link to the staff portal. Bisi logged in. Access denied. Her staff account had been disabled. Joy tried the public meal report dashboard instead. It displayed weekly totals but no individual records. She downloaded the last 12 reports. "Look," Bisi said. The reports showed exactly 100% complaint resolution every week. "That is impossible," Joy said. "Samuel told me students complained." "Then call him." Bisi dialed. Samuel O'Says answered on the 4th ring. "Bisi, I am preparing for the event. I need the welfare complaints about open plate." Silence. "What complaints?" he asked. "The ones students submitted through the union. I cannot release confidential records. You can confirm whether they exist." "Why?" "Because my ID appears 27 times in a program I never used." Samuel exhaled. "I heard about the video." "Then you know why I am asking. This is not a phone conversation. Meet me before 9. I have duties." "Samuel, did students complain or not?" Another pause. "Yes. How many?" "I cannot say." "Were they resolved?" "Were they resolved?" "No." Joy closed her eyes. Bisi tightened her grip on the phone. "The public report says 100%. "I know." "Who marked them resolved?" "I do not know." "That is not true." Samuel Akkande's voice dropped. "Do not put me inside this matter. You are welfare secretary. You are already inside it. I cannot fight the contractor, student affairs, and the grant people because of one allegation. This is not one allegation. They used student IDs. You have proof? I have my own record. One record is not a system. Then show me the complaints." Samuel did not answer. Bisi spoke more quietly. "When you accepted that office, did you promise to protect a budget or the students?" The line remained silent. Then he ended the call. Joy stared at the phone. "He cut you off?" "Coward." Bisi placed the phone on the table. "Afraid." Same result. At 8:22, an email arrived from Student Affairs. The disciplinary review would take place at 9 a.m. in Akanzua Hall. Attendance expected, 1,176. Bisi read the number twice. "This is not a hearing," Joy said. "It is an execution with chairs." Bisi gathered the papers. "Then we carry our own witness." "What witness?" She held up the bank statement. "Time." They left the library. Near the administration block, Blessing was waiting. She stood beside a silver car, holding a cream envelope. "Nabisi." Bisi kept walking. "Do not behave like a goat. I am trying to help you." Joy turned. Help her after editing her video. Blessing ignored her and held out the envelope. "This is a settlement statement. Sign it. Admit you removed the tray without permission and apologize. My father will recommend only termination from the food court. Your degree will not be touched." Bisi took the paper. The first paragraph admitted misconduct. The second withdrew her grant application. The third stated that Second Plate Ledger incorporated confidential concepts belonging to Feed Forward Connect. Bisi looked up. "You want my project?" Blessing smiled without warmth. "Your project is a spreadsheet with hunger inside it. Mine has investors. You copied my beneficiary privacy rule last week. Prove it. You leaked my proposal. Prove it. You cut the payment from that video. Blessing stepped closer. Prove it. The same two words, each one sharpened. She tapped the envelope against Bisi's chest. Listen to me. People like you survive by knowing when to bend. Your mother cannot call a lawyer. Your roommate cannot buy a newspaper. By this afternoon, my father will still own the kitchen, and you will still owe hot money. Sign. Bisi looked down at the document. For one terrible moment, she saw the easier road. Keep the degree, lose the job, lose the grant, carry the word thief quietly until people found another person to discuss. Her hand moved towards the pen. Then she saw the line transferring all rights to her project materials. She remembered page 17. Hunger relief must not turn a person Ilo's shame into another person Ilo's publicity. If she signed, the people who had stolen student identities would own the system designed to stop them. Bisi tore the paper once. Blessing Alo's mouth opened. Bisi tore it again. The pieces fell between them. You are mad, Blessing whispered. No, Bisi said. I am hungry. There is a difference. She walked away. Blessing Alo's voice followed her. By 10:00 o'clock, you will beg me to print another copy. At 8:36. Samuel Osei sat alone in the student union office, with 63 unresolved complaints open on his laptop. He had told himself for months that silence was temporary. He had planned to raise the issue after elections, then after the cultural week, then after Bode released the union's sponsorship. There was always another safer time. On the wall behind him hung a campaign poster with his face and the words, "Your welfare, my duty." Samuel looked at it until the slogan became an accusation. He opened a new email, attached the complaint register, added the original timestamps. Then he addressed it to Dr. Esther Omoregi, Eze Foundation, Clintons, and Bisi Akande. His finger hovered above send. If he pressed it, Bode could cancel the union Alo's transport funding. His executive members could remove him. Students who had praised him yesterday could call him disloyal tomorrow. He pressed send. The message left at 8:41 a.m. At 8:44, Bisi Alo's phone vibrated. She opened the email while walking towards Akenzua Hall. 63 complaints. 32 alleged unauthorized use of matric numbers. 18 described being denied meals after the system claimed they had already collected. 9 reported staff demanding photographs before food was released. 4 reported insults at the counter. Every complaint was marked resolved. None contained a resolution note. Bisi stopped on the pavement. Joy read over her shoulder. Samuel sent it. Yes. Now we have fire. Bisi looked at the hall ahead. Students were already streaming inside. Above the entrance hung a banner. Asian Social Nutrition Innovation Grant. Feeding the future with dignity. Bisi folded the complaint printout inside her file. The doors opened, and she walked into the room where more than 1,000 people had gathered to watch her name be broken. Akenzua Hall was colder than the morning outside. Air conditioners hummed above rows of red seats. The stage lights were already on, bleaching the podium and turning the giant projection screen into a white wall. Students filled the aisles with whispers that rose and fell whenever Bisi passed. Some looked away. Some did not bother. A boy in the third row lifted his phone to record her. His friend nudged him and said, loud enough for Bisi to hear, "That is the food thief." Joy stopped. Bisi caught her wrist. "Leave him," he said. "I heard." They walked towards the reserved seats near the front. Bisi Alo's name card was gone. Blessing Alo's remained. Feed forward connect Blessing WOSU. A second name card had been placed over the spot where Bisi should have sat. It belonged to another finalist. Joy lifted it. "Put it down," Bisi said. Why? Because that student did not remove my name. They stood beside the wall. At 8:57, Dr. Esther entered with the university chairman, 3 grant assessors, and members of the governing council. Bode followed them, carrying the same thick folder. Blessing walked at his side, composed and shining beneath the hall lights. There was no sign of Chuka Eze. The chairman checked his watch twice. Chief Ease Elo's convoy has not entered the gate, he whispered to Dr. Esther. His office confirmed attendance at 7 this morning. Bode heard and smiled. Lagos traffic, perhaps. Dr. Esther did not answer. She had read Samuel Allo's email on the way to the hall. 63 complaints had sat within the student union system, while official reports claimed every complaint was resolved. She had forwarded the register to internal audit and received no response yet. The hearing could no longer be about one tray, but the hall was full. At 9:04, the chairman approached the microphone. Distinguished guests, members of staff, and dear students, welcome to the final presentation of the Easy Foundation Social Nutrition Innovation Grant. Applause filled the room. Bisi stood against the wall, holding her evidence file to her chest. The chairman continued. Before the presentations begin, the university has been made aware of an incident involving one applicant and property connected to our student feeding program. Because transparency is central to today, Alo's event, the Dean of Student Affairs will address the matter briefly. Briefly. The word almost made Dr. Esther turn back. She took the microphone. This is a preliminary review, she said. No final disciplinary finding has been made. Bode shifted in his seat. Dr. Esther looked towards Bisi. Miss Bisi Akande, please come forward. The whispers returned. Bisi walked to the stage. Each step sounded too loud. Joy remained below, phone in one hand, documents in the other. Samuel stood near the side aisle. When Bisi saw him, he nodded once, but his face carried no relief. He knew an email was not courage completed. It was only courage begun. Bisi reached the center of the stage. Dr. Esther spoke carefully. Miss Akande, a report alleges that at approximately 6:11 p.m. yesterday, you removed one meal from the open plate counter without authorization and transferred it to an unauthorized person. What is your response? I did not remove any meal from open plate, Ma. I bought food from vendor 3 at 6:14 p.m. and gave it to a man outside. Do you have proof of payment? Yes, Ma. Bisi opened her file. Before she could remove the statement, Bode rose from his seat. With respect, Doctor, the student is already trying to confuse the issue. Dr. Esther turned. You will have an opportunity to respond. I am the reporting party and program contractor. The missing stock came from my kitchen. Sit down, Mr. Ogunloy. A small ripple moved through the hall. Bode was not accustomed to being told that in public. He sat. Bisi handed the bank statement to Dr. Esther. This shows a payment of 1,350 to vendor 3 at 6:14 p.m. Bode stood again. It shows she bought something. It does not show that the tray in the video was what she bought. Dr. Esther Allo's jaw tightened. I said sit down. Bode remained standing for 1 second, then lowered himself slowly. The chairman leaned towards Dr. Esther. We should conclude this. She ignored him. Miss Akande, is the vendor willing to confirm what you purchased? Bisi looked at the audience. No, Ma. Bode smiled. Why not? Dr. Esther asked. She is afraid her stall contract will not be renewed. Objection! Blessing shouted before remembering this was not a courtroom. Laughter broke out. She seized the nearest microphone anyway. This girl is inventing fear because no witness supports her. We all saw the video. Miss Nwasu, Dr. Esther said. You are not chairing this review. Blessing Allo's face tightened, but Bode reached for the folder. If the university wants evidence, let us provide evidence. He walked to the stage without invitation. The folder struck the podium with a crack. "Look at her!" he shouted, pointing at Bisi as her bank statement trembled between her fingers. "A hungry little thief pretending to be a saint." She stole food meant for poor students, handed it to a roadside beggar, then created one useless story so this foundation would pity her. More than 1,000 faces turned towards Bisi. Blessing signaled towards the technical desk. The screen came alive. Her edited video showed Bisi carrying the tray away from the food court. It showed Chuka beneath the tree. It showed Bode asking for the receipt. The payment itself was missing. So was the moment Bode folded the receipt into his palm. When the clip ended, Blessing raised the microphone. "Ni Bisi, poverty has made you shameless. You cannot even feed yourself, yet you are manufacturing kindness for attention. Please know your level." A few people laughed. Others shifted uneasily. Dr. Esther moved towards Blessing. "Give me that microphone." Bode stepped between them. "Doctor, enough delay. This girl has contaminated the integrity of the grant process. Suspend her now." Bisi's hands shook, not from guilt. Not even from fear alone. She had eaten half a slice of bread in nearly 30 hours, and her body was beginning to collect its debt. One of the security officers approached the stage after the chairman gestured towards him. "Please escort Miss Akande outside until the review is complete." The officer took Bisi's elbow. "Move." "Please," Bisi whispered. "That video was edited. I paid for that meal." Bode snatched the bank statement from her and allowed the pages to fall at her feet. "Then let your imaginary beggar come and defend you." The hall erupted in mocking laughter. The double doors flew open. 3 men in dark suits entered first. Behind them came the same beggar Bisi had fed beneath the rain. Except now he wore a navy blue suit, cut so cleanly that even the chairman stood before recognizing why he had stood. Chuka Eze walked into Akanzua Hall without hurry. His compliance director carried a sealed document case. His security officer remained near the door. 2 members of the University Alo's internal audit team followed, both looking as though their morning had changed direction without permission. The chairman rushed down the aisle. "Chief, Chuka Eze. Sir, we were not expecting." Chuka walked past him. He climbed the stage, bent, and picked up Bisi Alo's scattered bank statement 1 page at a time. Nobody helped him. The room had become too still. He arranged the pages, handed them to Bisi, and turned towards Bode. "The young woman you are calling a thief," he said quietly, "is the only person in this hall who did not steal from me." Bode blinked. Blessing Alo's microphone lowered. Bisi stared at Chuka. The eyes were the same. The voice was the same. Only the world around him had changed its posture. "Sir?" she whispered. Chuka looked at her. "Yes, my daughter. I ate the food." A wave of sound moved through the hall. Phones rose in every direction. Dr. Esther stepped forward. "Chief Ease, are you saying you were the individual in the video?" "I was." The chairman forced a laugh that found no company. "Sir, surely there has been a misunderstanding. You should have informed us you were conducting an inspection. If I informed you, would Mr. Arganlai have added 3 pieces of plantain to every tray for the camera?" Bode Alo's face lost color. Chuka continued. "Would the cracked bowls have disappeared? Would the workers have received new aprons? Would the open plate sign have been taped above a counter that refused me food while recording meals as distributed?" No one answered. Blessing took 1 small step back. Chuka looked at her shirt, feeding dignity. "You told security to remove me because my appearance was spoiling your campaign about dignity." Blessing swallowed. "Sir, I did not know it was you." The sentence left her mouth before she understood what it confessed. Chuka Alo's expression did not change. That is the point. Silence landed heavily. I was not asking whether you recognized a billionaire, he said. I was watching whether you recognized a human being. Someone in the back row murmured, Jesus. Bode recovered first. Chief Eze, with respect, my daughter Al's tone may have been unfortunate, but the theft issue remains separate. Miss Akande removed food belonging to open plate. Chuka turned towards his compliance director. Please show the original footage. Blessing Alo's grip tightened around the microphone. What original footage? The director connected a secure laptop to the projection system. Bode moved towards the technical desk. Doctor, this material has not been verified by the university. Dr. Esther blocked his path. It will be now. The screen displayed 4 camera angles, each marked with a timestamp. Camera 1 showed vendor 3 Elo's cashier. At 6:14:21 p.m., Bisi entered the frame. At 6:14:37, the terminal confirmed payment. At 6:15:02, the cashier placed rice, beans and plantain on a tray. At 6:15:19, Bisi collected it. Camera 2 followed her from the private vendor to the seating area. Camera 3 showed her stop, look through the glass towards Chuka, then cross the road with the same tray. Camera 4 captured the confrontation beneath the tree. The full scene played. Bode asking for the receipt. Bisi pointing to it. Bode picking it up. Bode reading it. Bode folding it into his palm. Then his voice, clear through the external microphone mounted above the entrance. This is not for this tray. The footage froze on the receipt in his hand. The hall did not breathe. Bode looked at the screen as if staring hard enough could make it lie differently. Blessing Alo's fingers opened. The glass cup beside her laptop slipped from the table. It struck the floor and shattered. The sound cut through the silence. Dr. Esther turned to Bode. You had the receipt. He looked at her. The student could have bought one tray and removed another. The compliance director changed the display. A transaction receipt appeared beside a still image of the tray. The vendor Alo's item code matched the printed order. A second image showed the open plate trays, which used blue plates. Bisi Alo's meal was on a brown reusable tray belonging to vendor 3. Chuka spoke. Your open plate service uses blue trays. The meal she gave me was served on brown. A low murmur began. Bode lifted his chin. Then the stock report was mistaken. That does not make me a thief. No, Chuka said. The stock report alone does not. The screen changed again. A system access log appeared. Terminal OCS, admin 2, user. B. Login time, 8:36 p.m. Stock variants created, 8:41 p.m. Original distribution count, 146. Revised distribution count, 147. Bode's lips parted. The compliance director highlighted the timestamps. The alleged theft occurred shortly after 6, she said. The missing tray was added to the inventory record more than 2 hours later from the administrator device assigned to Mr. Ogunlai Alo's office. Bode pointed at the screen. Anybody can use that computer. Your account requires a password and a one-time code sent to your registered phone. My phone may have been on the desk. The director opened a second log. One-time code received at 8:36:11 p.m. Device location places your registered phone inside the administration office. Building access records show your staff card opened the door at 8:31. Staff cards can be copied. CCTV from your office corridor shows you entering. The image appeared. Bode walked into his office at 8:30 p.m. wearing the same charcoal senator outfit. He did not come out until 9:02. The hall erupted. Students shouted. Some called him a criminal. Others raised their phones higher. The chairman signaled frantically for calm. Chuka lifted one hand. The noise reduced. This is not a marketplace. Or, he said, nobody will be convicted by shouting. We are preserving evidence for due process. His eyes moved across the audience. The same due process Miss Akande should have received before more than 1,000 people were invited to laugh at her. Dr. Esther lowered her head. Bisi remained beside the podium, her bank statement held against her chest. Vindication should have felt warm. Instead, she felt cold. The people who had laughed were now cheering because a richer man had changed the direction of the room. She wondered how many would have believed her without him. Blessing stepped forward. "Sir, my video only showed what I saw." Joy shouted from below the stage. "No, it showed what you cut." Dr. Esther turned. "Miss Egby, do you have evidence?" Joy lifted her phone. "Yes, Ma." She approached the stage and connected her laptop. "I received 3 versions of the video. The earliest public version was exported at 6:47 p.m., 18 minutes before the formal incident report. The metadata shows the editing device." Blessing Owl's face changed. "Metadata can be manipulated." "Yes," Joy said. "So I also checked the copy you sent to the Social Impact Society Executive Group before you exported the public version." "I did not send anything." Joy opened a screen recording. It showed the group name, participants, and message sequence. Blessing Allow's number appeared beside a 48-second clip. The clip began earlier than the public video. Her voice could be heard speaking to Bode, while Bisi remained beneath the tree. "Daddy, if we cut where she paid, everybody will believe what they already want to believe about a poor girl." Then Bodialo's voice answered. "Do not post from your main account." A collective gasp filled the hall. Blessing stared at the screen. That was a joke. Chuka turned towards her. "A joke?" I was angry. "I did not mean what was funny." She said nothing. Was it the possibility of her losing her degree? The frozen bursary? The public name? Explain the humor so the hall can laugh correctly. Blessing Owl's lips trembled. No answer came, Joy continued. The original clip also shows Mr. Ogunlai holding the receipt. The public video removes 14 seconds between Bisi pointing at the bench and him accusing her. Dr. Esther looked at Blessing. "You deliberately edited exculpatory evidence." "I did not know the receipt was valid." "You heard your father say to remove the payment." Blessing looked towards Bode. For the first time, he did not look back. The chairman approached Chuka. "Sir, this is clearly serious. Perhaps we should move the matter into a private board session." Chuka glanced across the hall. "Was the accusation private?" "No, sir." "Was her humiliation private?" "No." "Then the correction must reach the same ears." "The investigation can continue privately. The truth already established here should not be hidden to protect those who made the lie public." Applause rose. Bisi flinched at it. Only minutes earlier, the same hands had been holding phones over her shame. Dr. Esther took the microphone. "There are further records to examine." She signaled to Samuel. He walked towards the stage, each step uncertain. "State your name and role," she said. "Samuel Osays, Student Union Welfare Secretary." "Did your office receive complaints about Open Plate Fund?" "Yes, Ma." "How many currently unresolved complaints did you provide this morning?" 63. The hall stirred again. "Why were they not escalated?" Samuel looked at Bode. Bodedo's face was unreadable. Samuel swallowed. "Some were forwarded to the contractor help desk." They returned marked resolved. "I knew students still complained, but I did not challenge the classification." "Why?" "The contractor funded union transport and welfare events," a student shouted. "So you sold us!" More voices joined. Samuel closed his eyes briefly. "I was afraid the support would be withdrawn." "That is not an answer," someone yelled. Samuel raised his voice. "It is not an excuse, it is the truth. I kept telling myself I would address it later. Later became 11 weeks. The hall settled enough for him to continue. 32 complaints. Say metric numbers were used without permission. 18 students were told they had already collected meals when they had not. 9 were asked to provide photographs before receiving food. 4 reported being insulted at the counter. Dr. Esther looked towards the projection desk. Display the official report for the same period. The compliance director opened it. The complaint resolution rate 100%. A laugh came from somewhere in the hall, but it held no humor. Chuka faced Bode. How did 63 unresolved complaints become 100% resolution? Bode wiped his forehead. My company handles food distribution, not the student union database. The compliance director displayed routing logs. Each complaint had been forwarded to the Ogunlai Campus Services Administrator account. Each had been closed from that account without a written resolution. Bode Alo's voice grew louder. You are presenting raw data without context. Students make false complaints every day. Some collect food twice, some share IDs. My staff cannot investigate every hungry person who tells a story. Bisi looked at him. Hungry person. 2 words. Spoken as if hunger itself were proof of dishonesty. Dr. Esther opened Bisi Salo's 27 transaction record. Miss Akande, can you account for these dates? Bisi handed over the table she and Joy had built. 11 entries place me in lectures, practicals, work assignments, or outside the state. I have attendance records and conference documents. The compliance director compared the terminal IDs. All 27 transactions were confirmed from OCS, Ediman 02. Bode shook his head. That proves nothing. It proves the counter did not issue those meals, she replied. It also shows the same administrator device confirmed 462 meals within 1 month, including 93 beneficiaries, whose university records show they had graduated or were on industrial attachment outside Edo State. The number hung above the hall. 462. Bode gripped the podium. Administrative error. 93 times? Chuka asked. Data migration. Cross 11 weeks. System malfunction. Always in a direction that increased your invoice. Bode said nothing. The compliance director opened invoice comparisons. Rice purchases billed twice. Vegetable oil quantities exceeding storage capacity. Chicken portions invoiced for events that had been cancelled. Payments labeled Community Media Support routed towards production expenses for Blessing Alo's campaign videos. Blessing stepped away from the screen. I did not know where the money came from. Bode snapped towards her. Keep quiet. She stared at him. He had never spoken to her that way in public. Daddy, I said keep quiet. The command exposed more than anger. It exposed fear. Dr. Esther moved between them. Mr. Ogunlai, you will not intimidate anyone in this hall. He laughed bitterly. Now you have found courage because a billionaire entered the room. The words struck accurately. Dr. Esther did not defend herself immediately. She looked at BGC, then at the audience. You are right about one thing, she said. I should not have allowed a preliminary allegation to become public spectacle. I believed openness would protect the university. Instead, I allowed reputation management to replace fairness. The chairman whispered, Doctor. She raised one hand. No, sir. My office received a preservation warning this morning. I still permitted this format. That decision was mine. Bisi watched her. An apology without a cost was only another speech. Dr. Esther seemed to understand. She turned to the technical desk. Remove the disciplinary slide. The screen went blank. Effective immediately, every allegation of theft against Bisi Akande arising from yesterday, Alo's meal, is withdrawn. Her food court suspension is void pending an independent employment review. Her bursary hold is lifted today, subject only to routine bank processing. Her grant proposal is reinstated. Applause began. Dr. Esther raised her voice above it. This is not a favor. It is the correction of an injustice. The applause changed. Bisi Akande's throat tightened. Dr. Esther continued. Aganlai Campus Services is suspended from handling open plate data or stock pending an independent audit. No record is to be deleted, altered, or removed. Staff who provide evidence will receive written protection against retaliation. All student IDs used in the program will be reviewed, and every affected student will receive a formal correction. Bode stepped towards her. You cannot suspend my contract on a stage. The Emergency Integrity Clause allows temporary suspension of access while the Procurement Committee reviews the evidence. My lawyers will tear this university apart. Then they should begin by reading your contract. A roar moved through the hall. Bode Akande's face twisted. For years, people had lowered their voices around him because he controlled food, jobs, and sponsorship. Now every word he threw returned louder. Chuka did not smile. Do not mistake this moment for conviction, he said. The audit will determine financial liability. Appropriate authorities will determine whether any law was broken. Nobody here will invent punishment for entertainment. Then he looked at Bisi. And nobody will turn kindness into a lottery ticket. Bisi met his eyes. The hall quieted. The grant presentations will continue, Chuka said. Miss Akande will not receive funding because she fed me. She will receive the same assessment as every finalist. Her character brought my attention to her work. Her work must stand by itself. Blessing looked up sharply. So I can still present? Dr. Esther studied her. Your eligibility will be reviewed because of evidence tampering and possible use of confidential proposal material. Blessing Akande's mouth tightened. My project has nothing to do with the video. Bisi spoke for the first time since the evidence began. It may have something to do with mine. Everyone turned. She removed Blessing Akande's settlement document pieces from her file. Joy had taped them together before the hearing. The statement she asked me to sign transfers my project rights to Feed Forward Connect and claims I copied her confidential concepts. Dr. Esther took the page. When was this given to you? 30 minutes ago. Blessing Akande's face drained. That was a private negotiation. You tried to take her project in exchange for not pursuing discipline. I was offering mercy. Bisi Akande's voice became steady. Mercy does not come with an intellectual property clause. A few people laughed, but the laughter was different now. It did not reduce her. It exposed the absurdity standing against her. The chairman called a recess. For 22 minutes, Akenzua Hall became a storm of movement. Students crowded the aisles. Staff whispered into phones. The grant assessors met behind the stage. Internal audit sealed the contractor office access. Security was instructed not to let anybody remove documents from Unity Food Court. Bode stood near the exit, calling someone who did not answer. Blessing sat alone in the front row. Nobody held her umbrella now. Joy climbed onto the stage and pulled Bisi into an embrace. You are shaking. I think my body is remembering that I have not eaten. Joy opened her bag and produced a pack of crackers. Leek. Eat. Bisi took one. Chuka approached them. Joy stepped back, but Bisi did not bow or perform gratitude. She only looked at him with tired eyes. You could have told me, she said. I could have. Why did you not? If my office contacted you last night, Mr. Akande might claim we coached your testimony. You left me to enter this hall thinking nobody believed me. The people around them became still. Chuka accepted the accusation. Yes, Bisi waited. I believed preserving the investigation required silence, he continued. That decision protected the evidence. It did not protect you from fear. I am sorry for that cost. Bisi looked down at the cracker in her hand. This was not the response she expected from a powerful man. No excuse dressed as wisdom. No demand that she be grateful. Did you come to test people? She asked. No, I came to test a program. And you found people. Yes. He glanced towards the screen where the official reports had been displayed. My foundation funded a system that trusted one contractor to report his own success. That was negligent. The fraud, if confirmed, belongs to those who committed it. The weak oversight belongs partly to us. Joy looked surprised. Rich people rarely divided blame in a way that left some on their own table. Chuka looked at Bisi Alo's file. Are you still able to present? Bisi laughed softly. I have eaten one cracker. That is not an answer. It is the answer my stomach has. He turned to his director. Get her a proper meal. Bisi raised one hand. No special tray. Chuka paused. Same food as every finalist, she said. And I will pay when my bursary enters. For the first time that morning, Chuka smiled. My daughter, you negotiate even while fainting. I am managing. You Nigerians use that sentence to hide too much suffering. You are also Nigerian, sir. Exactly. That is how I know. At 10:16, Bisi ate rice, stew and moi in a quiet office behind the stage. Joy sat beside her. Dr. Esther sent written confirmation that the bursary hold had been removed. Samuel came to the doorway but did not enter. Bisi saw him. You can come. He stepped inside. I am sorry, he said. For what part? Joy asked. Samuel looked at her, then back at Bisi, for knowing students were being denied and choosing a convenient time to care. Bisi drank water. Your email helped. It does not erase the months before it. No. I am ready to make a full statement. Then make it because the students deserve it, not because you want me to forgive you. Samuel nodded. It was not warm, it was honest. At 10:49, the grant committee announced a revised schedule. Blessing Alzo's application was suspended pending review. The remaining finalists would present. Bisi would present last after a medical check confirmed she was fit to continue. At 12:08 p.m., she stood behind the podium again. The hall had not emptied. If anything, more students had entered. Bisi opened her presentation. The first slide contained no photograph of a crying beneficiary. It showed two numbers: 387 untouched meal portions, 31 students missing at least 4 meals in 1 week. This project began with waste, she said. Not only wasted food, wasted information, wasted trust, wasted dignity. Her voice was quiet at first, then it settled. She explained time labels and safe temperature ranges. She explained why cooked food left too long in unsafe conditions could harm the very people a program claimed to help. She explained batch tracking, coded vouchers, and dual verification. One assessor asked, why not use facial recognition to prevent duplication? Because a student seeking food should not have to surrender biometric data when a rotating code can verify the same thing with less risk, Bisi replied. Another asked, how will you stop people from collecting twice? By separating eligibility from identity exposure. The system can flag duplicate codes without displaying the person Alo's full name to contractors. What about publicity for donors? Bisi looked towards the empty seat where Blessing had been sitting. Publish quantities, safety compliance, audit results and outcomes. Do not publish hungry faces unless people freely choose to be seen. Chuka leaned forward. Why? Because food is support, not payment for somebody. Alo's pain story. The hall went still again. Bisi continued. A person should not have to perform misery before receiving help. She should not have to cry correctly. He should not have to look dirty enough. And nobody should be denied because a camera cannot benefit from his face. Her final slide displayed the governance structure. Kitchen records, student welfare verification, independent monthly reconciliation, anonymous complaint channel, no single contractor with full access, MUN, The system is not built on trusting good people forever, she said. It is built so that even good people must show their work. Chuka wrote something on his score sheet. The assessors asked 14 questions. Bisi answered 13 fully. On the 14th, concerning the legal ownership of donated surplus food, she said, I do not know enough to answer responsibly. The pilot requires legal review before redistribution begins. One assessor raised an eyebrow. You are willing to admit a gap? Yes, sir. Hunger is urgent. But urgency does not make unsafe assumptions correct. That answer earned more respect than pretending would have. At 2:37 p.m., after independent scoring, the committee returned. The chair of assessors opened the envelope. The winning proposal, with an average score of 89.4%, is second plate ledger by Bisi Akande. The hall exploded. Joy screamed louder than everybody. Bisi closed her eyes. For 1 second, she saw the bench beneath the rain, the untouched food, the receipt disappearing into Bode Ilo's hand, and the corridor girls turning down their phones. Then she opened her eyes and walked to the stage. Chuka presented the certificate but did not hand her a check. The grant would be released in stages against a verified pilot budget with independent procurement and quarterly reporting. It was less cinematic than a suitcase of cash. It was more real. When Bisi took the microphone, students expected a victory speech. She looked towards the food court workers standing at the rear of the hall. My first request, she said, is that before this pilot buys 1 refrigerator or prints 1 voucher, every verified wage owed to kitchen staff under the suspended contract should be identified and paid through the proper process. The afternoon supervisor covered her mouth. Bode stared at Bisi from near the exit. She met his eyes. I do not want anyone to kneel, she said. I do not want anybody paraded so that I can enjoy the same shame used against me. But correction must cost more than an apology. The hall quieted. Restore wages. Correct student records. Return any money an audit proves was taken. Remove false videos. Protect witnesses. Change the system that made one person powerful enough to hide all of it. Chuka nodded once. Restorative justice had entered the room without wearing revenge Alo's clothes. The applause that followed did not erase the harm. It only marked the moment the harm could no longer hide. By 4 p.m., the doors of Bode Alo's administration office had been sealed with numbered evidence tape. University auditors copied the inventory server under the supervision of the Foundation Alo's compliance team. Workers were instructed not to surrender personal phones, but any company-owned device connected to open plate records was logged and secured. The private vendor cashier gave her statement after Dr. Esther issued a written assurance that her stall renewal would not be decided by the suspended contractor. She confirmed Bisi Alo's order, payment and tray color. The cashier Alo's terminal record matched the bank transaction to the second. The afternoon supervisor also came forward. She entered Dr. Esther Alo's office at 5:26 p.m., carrying the fear of 8 unpaid weeks on her face. A staff representative sat beside her. A legal aid volunteer joined by phone. Only after those protections were in place did she explain how Bode had pressured her to sign a false statement. She did not become brave because fear vanished. She spoke because somebody finally reduced the price of telling the truth. Bode left campus that evening without his office files. He was not dragged through the gate. No police van arrived to create a convenient ending. His contract access was suspended. His lawyers received formal notices, and the audit began. Processes moved slower than outrage. They also left better records. Blessing deleted the video from her page before sunset, but deletion was not correction. Dr. Esther required her to publish a full statement in every group where she had distributed the accusation. The statement had to name the altered sections, acknowledge that Bisi paid for the meal, and remain visible for 30 days. Blessing argued for 3 hours. "My career will be destroyed," she said. Dr. Esther looked at her across the desk. "You were prepared to destroy another student Alo's career with a shorter video." I apologized. "You said you were sorry that people misunderstood." "They did misunderstand. Because you engineered the misunderstanding." Blessing turned towards her father Alo's lawyer, but the man only closed his notebook. He had been retained for Bode Alo's company. Her social media crisis was not within his brief. For the first time in years, Blessing Alo's name could not command a room to rearrange itself. She published the correction at 9:11 p.m. The first line read, "I falsely accused Bisi Akande of stealing a meal. No soft grammar, no passive voice, no hiding." The Social Impact Society suspended her presidency pending a conduct review. The grant committee disqualified Feed Forward Connect after investigators found that confidential phrases from Bisi Alo's proposal had appeared in Blessing Alo's application, 11 days after Bisi submitted hers. Blessing insisted that similar ideas could arise independently. Then, the review panel found a photograph on her phone showing page 17 of Bisi Alo's printed proposal. That argument ended. For Bisi, victory brought paperwork. Her bursary entered at 11:43 a.m. 2 days later. 187,500, exactly the amount that had been delayed. The university also paid the shifts she lost during the wrongful suspension. Dr. Esther offered additional compensation through an emergency student support fund, but Bisi asked for the terms in writing before accepting anything. Joy laughed when she heard. "You are checking the fine print of apology money?" "Yes. Bisi, you nearly fainted on stage. That is why I am reading. Hunger can make any agreement look friendly." The hostel levy was paid first. Then Bisi replaced Joy Alo's bread, sardines, and every small transfer Joy had hidden inside phrases like "let us eat together." She also bought a new extension socket, because the old one sparked whenever they connected the fan. She did not buy an expensive phone. She did not move into a mansion. She slept for 11 hours. 3 weeks after the hearing, the independent audit issued an interim report. It covered 27,000 pages of invoices, stock sheets, beneficiary records, bank transfers, and access logs. The auditors found duplicate billing for rice and vegetable oil, unsupported event catering charges, false beneficiary confirmations, and payroll deductions that had never reached workers. The initial unsupported amount was 46 million. That figure was not automatically declared stolen. Some records remained under review. Some differences were explained by poor documentation. Others were not. The final report, issued 4 months later, identified 18 million in overbilling and unsupported charges recoverable under the contract. Ogunlai Campus Services was required to repay the university according to a court-approved settlement, while separate allegations involving falsified records were referred to the appropriate authorities. Bode Alo's company lost the campus contract. 2 other institutions suspended new work with him while conducting their own reviews. His warehouse did not burn. His house did not disappear. His bank account did not become zero before breakfast. Consequences came through cancelled contracts, legal fees, repayment schedules, reputational damage, and the slow humiliation of answering questions he once believed nobody could ask. It was enough. At the first formal audit hearing, Bode tried to blame junior staff. The access logs contradicted him. He blamed software. The vendor who built the software demonstrated that the entries required manual confirmation. He blamed desperate students for sharing IDs. Attendance records showed many of those students were not even on campus when meals were claimed. Each excuse arrived confidently. Each left with less clothing. The workers' ALO wage review uncovered 14 employees owed between 5 and 11 weeks of salary. Their money was paid from a performance bond held under the suspended contract, not from Bisi Akkande's grant. This distinction mattered to her. Second plate ledger was meant to feed students, not quietly absorb the debts of a failed contractor and make the university look generous. Dr. Esther agreed. Separate the remedies, Bisi told the implementation committee. If you use grant money to pay old wages, the contractor ILO's liability disappears inside charity. One committee member called the point too technical. Chuka replied, "Justice becomes technical the moment money is involved. That is where most people stop paying attention." The wage payments were recorded separately. So were the corrected student files. 32 students received formal letters, confirming that open plate transactions had been entered without their authorization. Any disciplinary flags linked to those entries were removed. Bursary applications, frozen because of duplicate meal claims, were reopened and processed. One of those students met Bisi outside the library. She did not cry. She did not kneel. She simply held up her phone and showed that her bursary status had changed from high risk to approved. "They told me I was lying for 2 months," she said. Bisi looked at the screen. "Keep the letter and download the transaction history." "Why?" "Because systems forget apologies faster than they forget accusations." The student saved both. Dr. Esther changed too, though not quickly, and not without resistance from senior staff, who disliked admitting that the university EO's controls had failed. She established a bursary appeal route with fixed response deadlines. No complaint could be marked, resolved without a written action note. Contractors lost the power to close grievances against themselves. A whistleblowing portal allowed students and workers to submit evidence without revealing their names to the subject of the complaint. Most controversially, Dr. Esther created a procurement oversight seat for one elected student and one non-management staff representative. The chairman called it unnecessary. "Students do not understand procurement," he said during a council meeting. Dr. Esther placed the ghost meal report on the table. Apparently, neither did the people who approved this. The seat remained. Samuel completed his full statement and released a public welfare report before his term ended. In it, he listed every complaint his office had failed to escalate and described the sponsorship pressure that influenced him. Some students praised him. Others called the report an attempt to clean his name. Both could be true. When his term ended, Samuel did not seek another office. He spent the next semester helping the new welfare team build an independent complaint tracker that no sponsor could access. One afternoon, he met Bisi near the pilot kitchen. "I do not know whether you have forgiven me," he said. Bisi checked the temperature label on a covered tray. "I do not think about it every day." Samuel nodded slowly. "That is not the same thing." "No. Will it ever be?" She looked at him. "Forgiveness is not a certificate I print because you finally did your duty. Keep doing the work. Let time answer the rest." He accepted that. Blessing Alo's consequence was more visible and, to her, more painful. The conduct panel removed her from leadership positions for the remainder of the academic year. Before she could apply for future representative roles, she had to complete a restorative program on digital harm, consent, and ethical charity communication. As part of that program, she worked 8 hours each week in the new food recovery store. On her first day, she arrived in designer trainers and asked where the cameras were. "There are no cameras," Bisi said. "How will the foundation know the work is happening?" through inventory records, supervisor logs, and beneficiary outcomes. Blessing frowned. That is not good content. It is not content. The words irritated her more than an insult would have. For the first month, Blessing performed every task with stiff resentment. She labeled containers, checked voucher codes, and avoided speaking to recipients. Whenever somebody recognized her, color rose into her face. Bisi did not enjoy it. She also did not rescue her from it. Restoration was not comfort. It was sustained contact with the damage one had helped create. During the 6th week, a student came to collect a voucher and froze when she saw Blessing behind the desk. The student pulled her scarf lower, trying to hide her face. Blessing reached automatically for the program phone to scan the code. Then she noticed the fear. "No photograph," she said. The student looked up. "We do not take faces here. Only the voucher number." Blessing turned the screen away while the student entered the code herself. It was a small act. Nobody applauded. Later that day, Blessing drafted a policy amendment requiring separate, written and revocable consent before any beneficiary image could be used in publicity. She sent it to the committee without attaching her name to the promotional version. Bisi read the proposal twice. Then she approved it for legal review. Joy saw the email. "Are you becoming friends now?" "No. You approved her idea." A good rule does not become bad because a difficult person suggested it. What? Nothing. I am observing growth. Observe your own assignment. Blessing never gave Bisi a dramatic speech about becoming a new person. She never fell to her knees. She apologized once in private, badly. "I was under pressure," she said. "So was I," Bisi replied. "My father expected me to win. My hunger expected me to eat." Blessing looked away. "I did not think it would go that far. You sent it to 6 groups. I know. You wrote thief across my face. I know." Bisi waited. Blessing Alo's shoulders lowered. "I'm sorry for what I chose to do. It was the first apology without a hiding place." Bisi nodded. She did not say, "It is okay." It was not. 6 months after the hearing, the old staff kitchen beside Unity Food Court reopened as the first second plate ledger hub. The walls were painted pale yellow. 2 donated refrigerators stood against the back wall, each fitted with independent temperature monitors. Shelves carried dry goods from approved partners. A digital screen showed batch numbers, preparation times, and collection deadlines. No donor portraits hung above the counter. No ring light stood in the corner. On opening morning, the implementation team reviewed the pilot data. An average of 263 safe meals had been distributed each week during the first 3 months. Event food waste had fallen by 41%. 26 partner events now used time labels before food left their kitchens. Duplicate voucher attempts were flagged without exposing full student names to contractors. There had also been failures. 1 refrigerator lost power overnight, and 71 portions were discarded because the safe temperature could not be confirmed. A restaurant partner delivered food without allergen labels and was suspended until staff training was completed. Some students avoided the hub because they feared being recognized. Bisi reported every failure in the quarterly review. A public relations officer suggested removing the refrigerator incident from the summary. "It makes the pilot look weak," he said. "It makes the control look real," Bisi replied. A food safety system that never discards anything is probably hiding something. Chuka, seated at the end of the table, tapped his pen once. "Keep it." The failure remained in the report. Ease Foundation offered Bisi a 12-month fellowship after graduation to adapt the pilot for 3 additional institutions. The offer included a salary, professional training, and independent supervision. It did not give Chuka ownership of her project. The intellectual property terms remained with Bisi, and the university under a licensing agreement she reviewed with legal counsel. When she signed, Joy took a photograph. "Now can I post?" Joy asked. "You can post me. Do not post anybody collecting food in the background." Joy checked the frame and moved 2 steps to the left. "Madam consent. Madam former gossip." Joy put one hand on her chest. "Former?" Bisi laughed. Joy had changed as well. She had once believed that recording harm was automatically the same as exposing it. During the investigation, she learned the difference between evidence preservation and public spectacle. She began adding consent notes to her student journalism work and stopped uploading identifiable victims before verifying what publication might cost them. At Bisi Akande's graduation, her mother traveled from Akure wearing a blue jewel and carrying the pride of somebody who had once sold her sewing machine for school fees. She hugged Bisi for so long that the photographer lowered his camera. Chuka attended the ceremony, but sat among other guests. He did not walk onto the stage to claim part of the moment. Afterwards, he met Bisi beside the faculty garden. "You have done well," he said. "We have started well," she corrected. "You do not accept praise easily. I accept it. I just do not want it to become a pillow." Chuka laughed. He handed her a small box. Bisi frowned. "Sir, I hope this is not a car key." "It is not." "House key?" "No." "Check." "Open it before you accuse me of bad mentoring." Inside was a simple stainless steel kitchen thermometer, engraved with the date of the grant presentation. Bisi turned it over. "1 degree can separate safe food from dangerous food," Chuka said. "Small measurements matter." She smiled. "This one I can accept." They stood beneath the garden trees while families passed around them. After a moment, Chuka said, "People still tell the story as if one meal won you a grant." "I know." "Does it annoy you?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because it teaches poor people to wait for hidden billionaires instead of demanding working systems." Chuka considered that. "You fed a stranger." "I did. And character matters." "It matters. But the grant committee should still read page 18. He smiled. "You sound like an auditor." "I sound like somebody whose evidence almost disappeared." Chuka nodded. Bisi continued. "That meal told you who I was when nobody was watching. My research showed whether I could do the work when everybody was watching. They are not the same test." "No," he said. "They are not. And dignity should not depend on whether the hungry man is secretly rich." Chuka Alo's expression became serious. "That may be the most important part. It is the whole part." "Sir." 3 weeks later, on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, a new student entered the second plate hub. She was dressed neatly, but her fingers worried the edge of her identity card. She stood near the door for almost a minute, pretending to read the safety poster. Bisi recognized the posture. It was the posture of somebody trying to decide whether hunger was less painful than being seen asking for help. Bisi did not call attention to her. She did not ask for a family history. She did not ask why her parents had failed, whether she had spent money carelessly, or whether she looked poor enough. She simply moved to the side of the counter. "Good afternoon, my sister." "Good afternoon, Ma. First time?" The student nodded. "Hope no problem? I was told there are meal vouchers." "Yes. You can register with the tablet. Only the welfare verifier sees your full details. The kitchen sees a code." The student looked around. "Will anybody take my picture?" "No. Will my classmates know?" "Not from us." Her shoulders loosened slightly. Bisi pointed to the day Alo's options. "We have jollof rice with beans, or yam porridge. Do you have any food allergy?" The student blinked. "No, Ma." "Any medical diet?" "No." "Then choose what you can eat. There is water beside the window." The student selected yam porridge and received a covered pack with a printed batch label. She held it carefully, still looking uncertain. "How much?" she asked. "The voucher covers it." "I should explain my situation." "You have already completed eligibility with welfare." "No. I mean, should I tell you what happened?" Bisi shook her head. "Only if telling helps you. Food is not a ticket you buy with embarrassment." The student Elo's eyes filled, but Bisi turned towards the register, giving her privacy even in that moment. "Thank you," the student whispered. "You are welcome." When she left, Bisi looked at the sentence painted on the wall behind the counter. "Take what you need. Return dignity to the next person." There was no photograph of Chuka Eze beneath it. There was no photograph of Bisi. The work did not need a hero Alo's face. Outside, rain struck the roof with the same steady sound it had made on the evening. Bisi carried her last proper meal across the road. Back then, she had believed she was giving away one tray of rice, beans, and plantain. She had not known the meal would expose a corrupt contract. She had not known a receipt would become a battlefield. She had not known the man beneath the tree had enough money to make a hall stand up. But the value of what she did had existed before his suit appeared. That was the lesson. A person in torn slippers does not become worthy when a convoy arrives. A poor student does not become honest only after a billionaire confirms her story. A worker Alo's unpaid salary does not become theft only when powerful people notice it. Dignity is not a reward for hidden importance. It belongs to people while they are still unknown. One thing before I let you go. The class discrimination, wage pressure, misuse of personal data, and public humiliation in this story reflect problems that can occur in schools and workplaces. Even though labor protections, student procedures, and legal remedies differ from one location to another. If you or someone you know is facing exploitation, retaliation, or serious harassment, do not rely on a YouTube comment section as your main source of help. Contact your school Elo's welfare office or ombudsman, a licensed lawyer, a local legal aid clinic, or the relevant labor authority. In the United States, workplace discrimination and retaliation concerns may also be raised with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. I am not a lawyer, counselor, or food safety professional, and nothing here replaces qualified advice. I am simply a storyteller who believes dignity should never depend on wealth, clothing, or social rank. Treat people well before you discover who they know, because character is revealed when no reward is visible.